Hey guys, want to talk to you about the Sitka Arrowhead MLX Pullover. What makes it a pullover? It's not a full zip. That's about it. Let's get into it. So the MLX Pullover, what makes it special? Well, first and foremost, it's a Sitka Arrowhead product, so that means it's super high quality. But this is going to be a pretty feature-rich mid-layer, and it's designed basically to be worn either as I said, a standalone mid-layer or in combination with a hard shell or waterproof outer layer, or potentially in a temperate or slightly cold environment with kit. So let's get into the details. So what makes this product special? Well, first off, for those of you who this matters for, it is TAA compliant. So it's not Berry compliant, but it is TAA, or Trade Agreement Act compliant, which means it is either made in the United States with US materials or in specific designated countries with approved materials. And so that is going to mean that it's very high quality. Now, starting up at the hood, we can see that it is a Polartec and Hardface sort of composite material, and it does have a jersey knit, so that is going to be nice. It's a nice knitting that allows for retention of heat, good stretch, and good rugged properties to the fabric. Not going to rip too easily, not going to wear or braid too fast. Up here you can see that it is a very stretchy hood. It's not wide enough to fit a helmet, but I don't really think that's the point, because as you can see, the Polartec, nice and fleecy inside, that's going to be all warm on your noggin, and no one likes to have a cold head or cold ears. And it does have the integrated mask or balaclava. Now, this is extremely thin, but having used it in the cold a few times, I can tell you that it is enough to sort of keep that breath from freezing on your face, keep your lips and tip of the nose warm, and again, no one wants to lose their nose to frostbite. It's what I would call suboptimal. Moving down from the hood, it has a nice double stitch layer here, which allows the hood to be folded and rolled up and not necessarily tuck into a pocket, but if you've got something like a backpack on, or you just don't mind a little bulk around the nape of the neck, you can actually use the hood and you sort of roll this thing up, or sorry, the mask, and you sort of roll this thing up and it becomes a nice little pocket there, and it keeps it out of your way if you don't need it out and deployed. Moving down to the zippers, all the zippers are sealed with a nice rubber retainer. And like I said, this is the pullover, so it's a half zip. So this again is something you're going to use if you don't need a full zip jacket, or more likely if you're wearing some sort of gear that prohibits you from getting to stuff carried inside of a jacket or on the waistline, under a t-shirt, something like that, and you're really more interested in accessing gear that's more on the outside of the body, like with a plate carrier or a chest rig. This does zip it again about halfway down, which allows for good venting should you start to overheat. On the left side here, we do have an integrated pocket that's a single layer sewed, so it's stretchy on the inside to allow for slightly larger items it can stretch. And again, this is big enough for things, you know, like a cell phone, or 2 or 3 Twinkies if you need that, you know, maybe a bag of trail mix, map, GPS, flex cuffs, whatever you're into. Now, let's get into sleeves, the bottom of the jacket, and some overall performance. So let's talk about the sleeves and the rest of the pullover. So the sleeves have a nice little cutout, which you can use to stick your thumb through, so that if you don't want to wear gloves, or it's not quite cold enough for gloves, but you'd like to have the sort of upper part of your hand warmed, you want to be able to pull your whole hand back into the sleeve for those especially windy moments, something like that, you certainly can. Like I said before, the entire pullover is lined with that Polartec fleecy material, which again is super snuggy, and it's just nice to stay warm. The bottom of the jacket, being a half zip, does come a little longer, as you can see here at the bottom, so that if you're sitting for long periods of time, something like that, it puts a layer between you and your bottom, so that it doesn't get too cold either, because, well, that'll just end up messing everything up. Overall, the sizing on this is a little tight, and that's deliberate because, one, it's stretchy, and two, it is designed as a mid-layer, so it's probably going to be worn under a hard shell or another waterproof covering of some kind. unless it's really not that cold or windy or rainy or snowy. And of course, as anyone knows who's been out in the wild wilderness or just the environment for a while, weather tends to change. So having some options there is nice. So you do want to take that into consideration when you're purchasing this product. What size are you normally? What size do you want a slightly smaller in the sizing scale item to be? What are you going to wear it over? Can those items print? All these things need to be taken into consideration when you're buying your pullover. However, this is extremely, extremely nice. Like I said, it's TAA compliant. Sitka Arrowhead obviously is known for their quality. And if you need a really solid, super warm, like surprisingly warm layer that's going to be nice for over the top of maybe like a silk or a merino thin underlayer, which can be great to be just trim enough to fit under without being overly bulky. A hard shell layer, this is a great option. Of course, you can find all of this and other Sitka Arrowhead products at us-elitegear.com. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Train hard, live free. See you next time.